on the best stations nationwide. This is the UK Top 20 Rewind with Kid Jensen.
Hi there, and get set for another roller coaster ride through the decades as we unearth two more vintage countdowns from the past on the UK Top 20 Rewind. In the next hour, Shaun Tilley will be here with memories of October 1985. But before we get round to that, I'm Kid Jensen with chart highlights from February 1977. Now, this was the month and year when Dr. David Owen became Britain's new Foreign Secretary. The government announced it was to spend £6 million on the development of solar power. The big box office hit at the cinema was Rocky, starring a little-known actor by the name of Sylvester Stallone. And my old mate Paul Burnett was making a rare appearance hosting TV's Top of the Pops. Now, during this hour, we'll play you the usual mixture of climbers and sliders, plus 4 songs that were making their debut on the chart. And here's one of those right now, from David Bowie, who eventually got to number 3 with Sound and Vision.
UK Top 20 Rewind. New entry 20.
It was an enjoyable period for David Bowie as he had just won the Best Actor Award at the U.S. Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy and Horror Films, thanks to his role in The Man Who Fell to Earth. Sound and Vision was taken from the album Low, which saw him work with Brian Eno for the first time. And it was a new entry at Hit Sound 20 on the chart we're featuring from February 1977. Next on the survey, it's Al Stewart, whose first experience of the music biz came in the early 60s when he played with a show band at the Bournemouth Pavilion. Incidentally, you might care to know that the singer in that band was none other than radio DJ Tony Blackburn. Well, thankfully, by the mid-70s, Al was a star in his own right, and in turn was responsible for one of the decade's most impressive songs. It's Year of the Cat.
19.
On a morning from a Bogart movie.
From Glasgow, Scotland, that's Al Stewart, who is straight in at number 19 with the title track from his classic album, The Year of the Cat. The LP was produced by Alan Parsons, and it was famously rejected by Virgin boss Richard Branson. It was eventually released on the RCA label and became a success both in Britain and in particular the States, where it reached the top 5, selling over 1 million copies in the process. This hour's randomly chosen countdown on the UK Top 20 Rewind is from February 1977. And Fleetwood Mac were also fresh into the chart at number 17. We'll hear from them right after we check out this excellent song from American band Boston, who were the brainchild of keyboards wizard Tom Scholz. Here comes More Than a Feeling.
18.
Mick Fleetwood, John and Christine McVie, Lindsey Buckingham, and Stevie Nicks, with an extract there from their incredible album Rumours. An album that seemed even more impressive when it was announced that the band were hardly speaking to one another when they recorded it. Fleetwood Mac with Go Your Own Way, a chart entry at number 17. The single also went top 10 in the US. It's the UK Top 20 Rewind right now, and a reminder that Shaun Tilley's here later on with our vintage countdown from October 1985. But right now, this is the kid, David Jensen, remembering the way it was back in February 1977. Barry Biggs was sliding to Hit Sound 16 with Sideshow. But next, I'll play you the Rubettes, who are straight in at number 15 with Baby I Know.
Classic hits on the UK Top 20 Rewind.
Kid Jensen, 1977.
UK Top 20 Rewind. New entry 15.
I'm Kid Jensen, and it's the UK Top 20 Rewind right here on Magic, the home of Mike Reed every Saturday morning from 10, and Shaun Tilley's Retro Chart Years, Sunday afternoons at 4. The brothers who are rising to Hit Sound 8 with Sing Me. It's February 1977 on the UK Top 20 Rewind. I'm Kid Jensen, and Julie Covington's former chart topper, Don't Cry For Me Argentina, was down to number 7, while David Parton was still at number 6 with Isn't She Lovely? And we'll give that a spin for you after we hear from Shaun Tilley, who's teasing ahead now to the next hour. Hey, Shaun.
Hello, Kid. Good to have you back on the UK Top 20 Rewind. And yes, October 1985 in the next hour. Get ready to hear such fine tunes from the likes of Redbox, Midge Ure, Colonel Abrahams, remember him? Bit of a one-hit wonder. And Billy Idol too, all from October 1985 in the next hour of the UK Top 20 Rewind.
6.
During their career, they picked up no less than 10 Grammy Awards, though surprisingly, their biggest hit in Britain failed to make the chart back home in the States. On their way to number 1, the Mantran with Chanson d'amour, the week's biggest climber. Up 11 places to Hit Sound 4 in February 1977. I'm Kid Jensen with part 1 of the UK Top 20 Rewind. And American TV star David Soul also achieved a chart topper with this Tony McCauley song called Don't Give Up On Us. But here we find the single on the way down.
3.
This is Magic.
Don't give up on us, baby.
David Soul with Don't Give Up on Us, his first of 2 number 1s during this year. But it was sliding down to number 3 on our featured countdown from February 1977. Next on the survey, it's a UK-based disco group who were formed in 1973 by the brothers Johnny and Keith Wilder. They had 6 top 20 hits in Britain, and this track was the first and easily the most successful of those. Here's Heatwave with Boogie Nights. Heatwave and Boogie Nights climbing to number 2, but that was as high as the single got. And what do you know? I've run right out of time. So from me, Kid Jensen, thanks a lot for listening to this half of the UK Top 20 Rewind. And get ready for Shaun Tilley, who will be along in the next hour with chart highlights from October 1985. In the meantime, I've got one more song to play you, which was the biggest selling record of all from February 1977. It came courtesy of a Sussex lad who, under the guidance of manager Adam Faith, was having the time of his life, topping the American singles chart on 2 occasions during this year. But even though he had 11 top 20 singles in Britain between 1973 and 1983, this was his only UK chart topper. It's Leo Sayer with a gorgeous ballad from his Endless Flight album. Here's When I Need You.
When I need you.
This is the UK Top 20 Rewind with Shaun Tilley.
And many thanks to Kid Jensen for bringing us a wonderful chart from February 1977. And if you're ready, we'll move on another 8 and a bit years to October 1985. Now, this was the month and year when Hollywood was mourning the passing of 3 screen legends, Rock Hudson, Orson Welles, and Yul Brynner. Clive Sinclair's company, TPD, makers of the C5 electric tricycle, remember that? They called in the receivers, and riots broke out in Liverpool's Toxteth and London's Peckham districts following similar disturbances the previous month in Brixton. During this hour, we'll play you a staggering 6 new entries, as well as the usual scattering of climbers, sliders, and non-movers. But we start with level 42.
UK Top 20 Rewind. New entry.
They were coming straight into the chart with Something About You.
20.
The original, of course, was done by Martha Reeves and the Vandellas on the Motown label. The 1985 cover version raised money for Live Aid. David Bowie and Mick Jagger moving down from the top of the charts to number 2 on this hour's featured countdown with Dancing in the Street. And that's it from me, Shaun Tilley, on behalf of my co-host, who this week was Kid Jensen. Thank you very much for listening, and catch me next time around on the show when I'll be joined by Betty Brown. In the meantime, we're going to leave you with the biggest and best-selling single from October 1985. And it came courtesy of a fella who, when he was the lead singer of Ultravox, almost made it to the top of the chart with the single Vienna in 1981. It got to number 2, in fact, and was prevented from reaching number 1 by Joe Dolce, Shut Up Your Face. Now, such a thing would be enough to make most people retire, but not mid-year. He finally made it to the pinnacle of the UK chart with this single called If I Was. See you next time. Bye-bye.